I'm the bloody queen, mate. Basically, I rule.
Yeah, I'm gonna hate you. Kids, and welcome to yet more Doctor Who bashing from me, an angry Doctor Who fan. I think TV Tropes calls this fandom. I like to call it a mix of common sense and vengeance. Now, my dislike for Russell T Davies' era of Doctor Who is about as obvious as the tiny size of Welshie's cock.
Hey! You can't argue with the truth.
But I don't hate Russell T Davies. I've got a weird sort of empathy for him, actually. The sort of empathy that shows itself in my desire to insult most things he does. It's hard to explain. I've read the book they made out of his emails while he was writing Doctor Who, and the impression I got was that he had it in his mind that Doctor Who has to be a certain way or it won't be a success. Unfortunately for me, that certain way is shit. He is capable of better things. He sat on the idea for Midnight for several years because he was sure it would be disaster. I can see why. It's completely different from everything else he wrote for Doctor Who. I.e., it's good. He is a good writer. He's just convinced himself that he must do a brilliant job of appearing to be a terrible one for Doctor Who to be a success. And I'm sorry about that. But he also wanted to do a Doctor Who Star Trek Enterprise crossover. So apart from everything else, he's a cunt weasel. So why am I talking about Russell T Davies? Because my feelings for him are a little more nuanced than I usually let on. And because this episode I'm concentrating on a script written by Lord Stephen of Moffat, and it didn't feel right to do a whole review and not complain about Russell T Davies. This is episode 2 of Matt Smith's reign as the Doctor, and we open up with floating skyscrapers with the names of English counties lit up on the side. Given all that we find out about what's going on here, I wonder why they're wasting electricity lighting up adverts that no one will ever see. So remember what I said about the future looking damn modern in New Who? Well, this future makes even less sense because it thinks it's the 1940s. A bunch of kids leave their classroom and the last kid gets a 0 from a machine that I'm sure is supposed to be much scarier than it is. So some girl tells him to take the stairs to London, which is apparently 20 decks below wherever they are. This doesn't make much sense to me, as London really should be one of those skyscrapers, or possibly a bunch of them as it has much more of a population than most English counties. Either way, the kids really should already be there. If they live in London, where the fuck are they going to school? And why isn't London more than 20 decks tall? Surrey is a fucking skyscraper. So even though he's been told to take the stairs by that girl, he takes the lift, which is designed to look like the London Underground, because this is 20 decks above London! So the lift automatically goes to the bottom floor, and the unscary thing is still unscary, and the floor opens, revealing a bunch more floors below them, and based on the lights, I'd say that it's the red light district. So the kid falls, and it's the opening credits, dropping kids into a life of prostitution for getting a 0 in school. Harsh. The intro is the best of the new series so far, and kudos to Murray Gold for minimising his idiotic additions to the theme. It's even weird! Yay! So we open with both Amy and the Doctor enjoying the view. Oh, look, I'm writing the Doctor as a perv lines now, and I fucking hate the idea of the Doctor having a sexuality. Now, on the DVD, there's an additional scene before the Doctor here decided to show Amy the amazing green screen. I mean, the cosmos. It's a nice scene. Matt Smith explains the chameleon circuit that keeps the TARDIS stuck as a police box. Matt Smith reminds me of a cross between Patrick Troughton and Colin Baker. For all you kiddies who have only seen the last few Doctors, I say, shame on you! And then I get off my elitist Doctor Who ivory tower for a few seconds, walk among the crowd of the great unwashed, and point out that they are the 2 best Doctors ever. Ah, I hear you say, but if Matt Smith is a cross between the 2 best, then he must in fact be the new best. To this I say, fuck you, it's my series and I can make up the logic as I go along. Don't get me wrong, Matt Smith is great, but he's not quite Patrick Troughton or Colin Baker level great. Plus, he's too young. Because they're in the 29th century, and in the Doctor Who mythos, the 29th century was when solar flares cooked the Earth and everyone ran off. Well, not everyone. Some people are in a space-based state and they were being turned into bubble wrap monsters. But that's not important right now. They find Starship UK because even in the future, the Doctor's only interested in a small, wet set of islands.
This is the United Kingdom of Britain and Northern Ireland, all of it, bolted together and floating in the sky.
Now here's the problem. UK stands for United Kingdom, the United Kingdom in question being the result of the kingdoms of Scotland and England being joined. Wales and Northern Ireland aren't kingdoms. However...
You sound Scottish.
I am Scottish. What's wrong with that? Scotland's got to be here somewhere.
No, they wanted their own ship.
Good for them. Nothing changes.
So this is not the United Kingdom, it's the Kingdom of England along with the Principality of Wales and Northern Ireland, which isn't even a principality. And why is the Scottish solitaire still part of the flag? The flag was based on the crosses of England, Scotland and Ireland, and if Scotland leaves, it's going to take its flag with it. That's how it works. So the Doctor has decided that seeing a crying girl that no one's comforting means that they're in a police state. It's an interesting theory. I would have gone with the people are bastards, or possibly she's evil, or both. So a guy who resembles Darth Maul without any makeup or horns or a lightsaber spots the Doctor. Not that much like Darth Maul guy calls the demon headmaster who calls a woman who likes to sit dramatically in a cloak on the floor beside a mask. She dramatically gets up and promises to deliver a lot of drama. So the Doctor sends Amy off to talk to the girl, and they talk about how the Doctor can resist anything but the sound of a crying child.
So is this how it works, Doctor? You never interfere in the affairs of other peoples or planets. Unless there's children crying.
Yes.
This will, of course, be mentioned again in the most embarrassing way possible. So Amy follows the girl and they get talking, and Amy insists on breaking into a workman's tent for no reason at all and pisses off the things that are supposed to be scary but aren't and finds a huge proboscis thingy. She's then grabbed by the not much like Darth Maul brigade and she's put to sleep by gas in a ring because looking like it's the 1940s isn't enough. These guys have to act like villains from The Phantom. So the Doctor meets up with the dramatic woman who speaks dramatically and is wearing a dramatic mask. She got his attention by leaving a glass of water on the floor in the corridor. It doesn't get his attention for rational reasons, i.e. why the fuck would you put a glass of water in the middle of a corridor, but rather because it's not moving. There should be movement in it because of the gentle vibrations of the engines. She asks them to help them figure out how the ship could be flying without engines.
Help us, Doctor. You're our only hope. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Even though in space you don't actually need your engines on all the time in order to move. She then leaves, dramatically. So Amy is stuck in an obvious parody of an election and is shown the history of the ship and told that she can have her memory wiped or protest and be dropped below. If more than 1% of the population protests, the journey will end and everyone will die. Of course, if it really was an election thing, it'd be a damn sight more than 1%. So Amy chooses forget because she cannot handle the horrible pain about what's being done to keep the ship going. And a second later she sees a recording of herself telling herself to get the Doctor away from the ship. I think this was supposed to have been done before she wiped her memory, but the editing is really bad here. Plus, what sort of evil memory wiping device gives you the option of creating a message to leave your newly wiped memory self? So the Doctor finds her and they clumsily shoehorn the Time War into the conversation.
So there are other Time Lords, yeah?
No. There were, but there aren't just me now.
Any rational person would just assume that he wasn't the only one of his race. But no, we need to get this shit going, again. So even though the Doctor said a few minutes earlier that since he's not human it won't let him use the machine, he hits protest and they're sent below. I'll be kind and assume they don't like really crap vandalism. So below is actually the tongue of a giant alien, and it takes them about 30 seconds to work out that it is a tongue, even though they spend the entire scene staring at the fucking teeth. So the Doctor makes the alien vomit, which somehow sends them back into the ship and not out into fucking space as you'd expect. The Doctor pisses off some of those things that are supposed to be scary but aren't, and they come to life and are shot by the dramatic woman who reveals that she's the Queen.
I'm the bloody Queen, mate. Basically, I rule.
She's also extremely irritating and wore the mask to go undercover to try and find out what's going on, which of course is why she chose a mask that looked like Pavi's from Repo's Genetic Opera, and why she wore a massive velvet cloak which looks nothing like anything else anyone is wearing. So enter the not much like Darth Maul gang, and to scare everyone they reveal that they can turn into the supposed to be scary but not scary things, the same things that the Queen shot last scene. They take the goodies prisoner because, for story reasons that they can't be bothered to tell us, she can't just shoot these ones. So they meet up with the demon headmaster and he reveals that the children who were sent below aren't actually eaten. They instead come up right where they are, the command center, and for some reason they don't have any crap on them, because being a child apparently allows you to repel crap. And if the kids aren't eaten, then why are you sending them below? You're just breaking their little minds. They stated earlier that the memory wipe only takes 20 minutes off.
Yeah, your basic memory wipe job must have raised about 20 minutes.
So that won't make a kid forget what happened. And if they do forget, they go to school and see their friends. And they can see that nothing happened to them, so they don't need to worry about it. Going below is great. Nothing happens to you. What is the fucking point of sending kids below? So they then reveal what's going on. The whole ship is built on the top of a space whale, and they blast its pain receptors to make it go where they want to. Making this actually a little bit like The People Who Walked Away from Home Last by Ursula K. Le Guin. But shit. So it turns out that the Queen's been queen for 300 years, and every 10 years or so she finds out what's going on and wipes the memory from her mind. Which is fine until you wonder what happens when she meets someone who she met in the last 10 years, such as a new niece or nephew or something. So they force the Queen to choose between memory wipe or abdication, which will free the space whale, because she ordered this choice years ago. Of course, for some reason that they don't bother explaining, she can't override her own previous order right now. And just so you know, the British monarchs do not have this sort of power. They explained that the rest of the countries had escaped the Earth, but the UK, being shit, had built a spaceship and all too late realised that they might need engines. I can really imagine the Scottish ship pointing and laughing at them from space. So a space whale heard the children of the UK crying in pain because of the planet melting solar flares, and so came to save them because space is very well known to carry the voices of small children. And the people captured the whale somehow, did massive surgery on it to turn it into a cybernetic space whale somehow, and attached a ship to it somehow, all while melting. So the Doctor is pissed off at Amy because he's decided why she voted to forget, even though he has no evidence of why she did it, and she can't remember to confirm or deny why she did it. And then he yells about humans being scummy for being complicit in the torture of the space whale, even though
The needs of the many outweigh
the needs of the few.
or the one.
But maybe this episode is supposed to be a massive take that to Star Trek philosophy. The Doctor then decides to lobotomize the space whale and has a bit of a meltdown over his pain at having to do that. Yeah, the guy who manipulated a race into committing genocide on itself and once made his companion an emotional cripple in order to win is upset that he has to lobotomize a single alien. If this was the 7th Doctor, he'd reveal that he actually lobotomized the whale years ago and has been controlling its new robot brain all along and only investigated the place to show off how awesome he is. So Amy forces the Queen to abdicate, thus releasing the space whale because she realised that it's just like the Doctor. It loves children and therefore would be happy to let the torturing humans ride along on top of it as long as they don't keep zapping its exposed brain and they keep it well fed on adults.
If you were that old and that kind, and the very last of your kind, you couldn't just stand there and watch children cry.
The Doctor is a fucking space whale. A message so stupid, explained so ridiculously that I feel the need to smack my head off a table. Okay, think back to the start of the episode. The boy was sent to be eaten by the space whale for getting 0 in a test. Okay, it doesn't work and the thing spares them, but they didn't know that when they started doing that. What sort of society that expects to the next few generations executes children for being stupid? And apart from that, this is an execution. Make no mistake. Now, all of the dialogue suggests that he won't get in trouble for getting his 0 if he takes the stairs that day. So we've a crime that is so bad that they will kill a child who commits it, but so not bad that they will only kill him if he takes a certain way home. This is a bit like arresting and executing a murderer on the spot, but only if he walks past a police station on the way home from doing the killing. And if he gets home, he's free to kill again the next day. And how many adults have been sent down there? They send kids down for getting a 0 in school. What sort of shit does an adult have to pull to get sent there? Enjoy Star Wars Episode 2? And finally, how the fuck can a starving animal that's large enough to carry a country in its back tell the difference between an adult and a child in its mouth? And why would it want to? They leave, having made friends with the Queen and her men, even though they've been feeding innocent adults and attempting to feed innocent children to the space whale for hundreds of years. I haven't seen a piece of accidentally messed up Doctor ethics this bad since the 3rd Doctor talked about his old friend Mao Zedong. And why the fuck didn't the Doctor just think of scanning the fucking ship? It would have made this episode a tolerable 20 or 30 seconds long. This is shit. I'd say it's the worst episodes that Series 5 has to offer, but I've seen the episode that came right afterwards. The worst back-to-back episodes of New Who since Lithazine in Series 1. Just bad.